Hello everybody. I welcome you all to the topic on heat exchangers. I am V. Praveena, Assistant Professor, Department of Mechanical Engineering. So today I'll just list out the topics that we are going to discuss. The first one is how we are going to define the heat exchanger and where the heat exchanger really finds its applications. Next is the classification of heat exchangers, based on what all criteria will be classifying the heat exchanger. Then the overall heat transfer coefficient, that is capital U. Why we'll have to deal with this overall heat transfer coefficient, I'll tell you. Next is analysis. After every design part, before every design part, we are going to see what the analysis, what type of analysis has to be done. So that we'll be studying. And since this type of exchanger is going to involve temperature difference, so we'll have to determine this temperature difference. For that, we'll be studying about log mean temperature difference. And there's one more method of analysis that is called as NTU, that is effectiveness number of transfer units. That also we'll be seeing. And last but not the least, the design considerations. In addition to these analysis process, there are some other factors that has to be taken into account while designing a heat exchanger. So that also we'll be discussing. So a brief summary of what we are going to see now. Coming to the definition, in a very simple way, we can define the heat exchanger as a device that is used to transfer heat between two fluids which are at different temperatures, but without mixing of the two fluids. That's key word to be underlined. That is, two fluids. We'll be taking a hot fluid and we'll consider a cold fluid. Both will be at two different temperatures. So how the heat is being transferred between those two fluids, that we are going to see. A device which facilitates this is called as a heat exchanger without mixing of the two fluids. So applications, we find these heat exchangers in our day-to-day applications, like even in household work like heating and air conditioning, chemical processing plants, and power production in large plants. So these are all very basic applications where you can see a heat exchanger. Now coming to classification of heat exchanger. How to classify? There are three broad categories. The first one is direct transfer type, the second one is the storage type, and the third is direct contact type. When I say direct transfer type, first we'll be having two fluids that are flowing simultaneously through pipes, two concentric pipes. When I say concentric pipes, there'll be an inner tube and there will be an outer tube. So there are two tubes. So heat has been transferred between the two fluid through the wall that is present between these two. I think the next figure will help you to understand better. Just look at this figure. Here you can see the inner tube, the orange one. So cold water and cold fluid enters through the left hand side of this tube and it exits through the right hand side of the other tube. And surrounding this there is another tube, the blue color tube. There is an annular space between this outer tube and the inner tube. The warm fluid which enters through this pipe, it flows in this annular space and then it comes out through this way. So as it comes out, what happens? As it flows through this annular space, it is going to give the heat to this pipe. And this cold fluid which is entering through this pipe is going to take the heat that has been transferred from here to this pipe. And the cold fluid gets heated up, comes out here. The warm fluid loses its heat and comes out here. So this is called as direct transfer pipe. So just a recapture of the definition. Both hot and cold fluid flows simultaneously through the heat exchanger and heat is transferred across the wall. So through the wall only the heat is being transferred and this wall separates the two fluids. So this is called as direct transfer. There is no mixing as stated earlier. The next is the storage type heat exchanger. Storage type heat exchanger is, there will be a matrix, a porous matrix. Alternatively, the fluid will be allowed to flow through the matrix. Initially, the hot fluid will flow through the matrix and then the cold fluid will flow through the matrix. When the hot fluid flows through the matrix, what happens? It will release the heat to the matrix. The matrix will retain the heat. Next, when the cold fluid flows through the matrix, it will pick up the heat that is stored in the porous membrane. It will get heated and it comes out at higher temperature. So this is a storage type. The difference between this and the previous direct transfer is, in the previous case, simultaneously the fluid was flowing, whereas in this case, there is only alternate flow of the fluid. So there are two categories. One is the static type regenerative and dynamic type regenerative. So looking at the static type, I'll show you the figure. So please look at this figure. Here you can, this is the porous matrix. The hatched one is a porous matrix. You have 4 valves. The hot fluid enters through valve A and it exits through valve B. At that time, both C and D are remain closed. So when this hot fluid enters through this A, this matrix is getting heated up. It absorbs the heat and this fluid loses the temperature and comes out. In the next case, these two are closed and this C and D are opened. When this opens, cold fluid enters here. This matrix is already being heated up, so it releases off the heat to C and it comes out. So this is how a single matrix storage type occurs. The next is the dynamic type. Okay. Okay. The next is the dynamic type. This is going to involve a drum and a continuous flow of hot and cold fluid through different portions of the drum. So looking at this picture here, you can see the drum. So this is the rotating matrix. Here you have a hub and these are all the different channels. This keeps on rotating. Every single channel is exposed to hot fluid and cold fluid alternatively. So a hot fluid might enter here. As this channel rotates, as this hub rotates, the channel comes here. In that time, the cold fluid enters. So I can say any particular channel is alternately exposed to hot and cold. So this is a drum type, regenerator type. The next is direct contact type. In this type, there is no metal wall that is separating the two fluids. In other words, both fluids get mixed each other and as a result of that, heat is being transferred. Now looking at this figure, you can see there is a simple water heater. Water enters at 10 degrees Celsius. It comes here. Combustion air is forced in this direction and this air moves in the upper direction. So I can say this water droplets as well as this air both are mixed together and this water gains temperature and comes out as hot water at 85 degrees Celsius, whereas this combustion air loses the temperature and escapes away through the stack. So here we see this is an example of liquid and gas mixing with each other. So whenever a liquid and a gas are supposed to be mixed or a heat is to be transferred among these two, either the gas will be bubbled through the liquid or the liquid will be sprayed on the gas. So this is what is happening. So here to recap the statement, when heat is to be transferred between a gas and a fluid, the liquid is sprayed in the form of droplets into the gas. So this is the third type. We don't have much to do with this category. Just to know, I have listed out this. We'll be concentrating much on the direct transfer type. So coming to further classifications in the direct transfer type, you have 3 categories. First one is a tubular, second is a plate, and third is the extended surface. Tubular is what we saw already. There were 2 tubes, that is 2 concentric tubes, and the fluid flows in the one in the inner tube and other one in the annular space. Next is the shell and tube. So looking at this shell and tube, I'll just show the picture first. Yes, so this is the shell. And here you can see 1, 2, 3 and 4 tubes. So there is a shell inside which there are 4 tubes and there is a header on the rear end and another header on the front end. Here you can see baffle plates. So when I say shell and tube, these are the essential components that should be present in a heat exchanger. The fluid which is entering the shell is called as a shell fluid and the fluid which is passing through this tube is called as the tube fluid. So there will be a shell fluid, there will be a tube fluid, and header is nothing but a plate on which all the tubes are attached to, on this end as well as on the other end. And here you can see the tube inlet and this is the tube outlet. For every tube there will be a nozzle also, and these baffles actually help in spreading the fluid evenly. In other words, they'll enhance the heat transfer. Okay, so looking at this text, a large number of tubes packed in a shell with their axis parallel to the shell. So every tube will have an axis parallel to the shell. There can be any number of tubes, and the fluid entering the tube, I told you it's a tube fluid, and the fluid which flows outside the tubes is a shell fluid. Now heat transfer takes place between the tube fluid and the shell fluid. Actually, wise decision has to be taken which fluid has to flow inside the tube and which has to flow inside the shell. Normally the more viscous fluid is selected to flow inside the shell. Okay. Next, and as I told you, the baffle actually helps in enhancing the heat transfer, and see that the fluid is uniformly spread between the tubes. This is a shell and tube. And again, these shell and tube can be classified as 2 tube pass, 4 tube pass, single shell pass or double shell pass based on the number of U-turns. Okay. Now looking at this, this is a 1 tube pass. Actually the tube inlet is like this, it enters like this and it leaves out. There is no U-turn. Whereas looking at the next figure, here you see the cold fluid enters inside the tube, comes like this, it is taking a U-turn and it is coming out like this. Likewise, again the cold fluid enters, it enters this second tube, takes a U-turn and it comes like this. So it is called as a 2 tube pass. Number of U-turns, there are 2 U-turns, so it is a 2 tube pass. Coming to the limitations, actually shell and tube exchangers, they provide really good effectiveness, but they are not applicable in all cases. For example, automotive and aircraft application. The reason is because of their large size and weight, so they might not be suitable. So these major parts are very essential: tubes, shell, tube header sheets, baffle and nozzle. We have seen all these in the figure earlier. So the next is plate type heat exchangers. Plate type heat exchanger, looking at this figure, you can see some sequence of parallel rectangular plates which are clamped together. Okay, so because of this clamping, you can see the channels in between, 3 red channels and 3 blue channels. So totally 6 channels are formed. So the fluid will be allowed to flow through these channels. So the definition is a large number of thin rectangular metal plates which are clamped together to form narrow plate channels. As the fluid passes through these alternate channels, heat is being transferred among them. The next is the extended surface. These are similar to the plate type heat exchanger. The only difference is you have the corrugated sheets here. These are the corrugated sheets. So these sheets actually act as fins. So fins which are attached to these plates will actually resemble an extended surface, and this is moreover formed by brazing operation. So these are made of plates and corrugated sheets which form the fins. They are normally brazed by heating in vacuum furnace. And these are the applications where we see this. We all would have seen oil coolers, condensers and hot water heaters, where heat exchangers, fin type heat exchangers find good applications. Yes. So far we have seen how to classify the heat exchanger based on the geometry.